Is the Palmetto State Dagger a viable replacement for a Glock 19? Well, the Dagger is ultimately a Glock 19 Gen 3 clone that is better in some aspects and maybe not as good in a few aspects. The price point though is so low that it has a lot of people's attention and has them wondering if they should save the extra cash and go with the Dagger. Today we're going to dive in and hopefully clear those questions up for you. Couple things before we get started. If you have not liked and subscribed to our channel, click the like and subscribe button below. We'd greatly appreciate it. Lastly, if you're in the market for a holster, we're always here to help get you taken care of. We do make leather and Kydex holsters specifically for the PSA Dagger. You can check out all those holsters for this Palmetto State Armory Dagger and hundreds of other models at our website, muddyrivertactical.com. The Dagger has a 3.9 inch barrel and is a 9mm striker fired pistol with a polymer frame. It weighs in at roughly 22 ounces empty. The sights on the Dagger are steel 3-dot white sights, which is pretty crazy when you think a Glock that's almost double the price still has plastic sights on them. These Daggers are compatible with a wide variety of aftermarket Gen 3 Glock parts, including all Glock sights. So if you chose to switch the sights, you have a ton of options there. These Daggers come with one Magpul magazine in them. I personally chose to use the Glock standard mags in them. All Glock standard mags will work in them. I just think that the Glock mags will be way more reliable, so I chose to go that route when I've been shooting this gun. Not that the Magpul mags will not work, but there have been a few issues I've seen with people in this firearm while using Magpul mags. And that was kind of the deciding factor, is the Magpul mags was causing the issue. So I just decided to bypass any of that risk and just went with the tried and true Glock mags, since I have them anyways, as I have a Glock 19. So the mag well is cut out on each side so that you can rip the mag out if you ever had to for any reason. I feel like they maybe went a little too much and made it too big of a cutout right there, but that's just my personal thought on it. The bottom finger groove is nice and it feels good in my hand. The grip has a 1 finger bump right there, which I actually kind of like. A lot of people don't like it, like the Gen 5 Glocks with the no finger grooves at all. But the way this bottom lip here and that 1 groove feels, the grip just feels really good in my hand, so I don't have any issue with it. The undercut there also feels really, really good in my opinion. The grip and texturing on this is pretty decent and feels good to me. Some people feel it's not rough enough. However, for me, I have no issues with it. I think it is perfectly adequate. The feel of the grip is superior to the Glocks in my opinion. The Glocks have that blocky feel to them, and this does not have that at all. It does not have replaceable back straps like the Glocks. I personally don't care about that though. I've never changed the back strap on any of my Glocks. My hand size just seems to fit well without that, so that is not a hindrance to me at all. But if you like to change the grip panels and stuff, you'll not be able to do that on a Dagger. The grip has a lot more rounded corners on it, so it just feels better in your hand than the kind of squared off blocky feel that you get from the Glocks. The beaver tail is also high and a little extended out, which I really like. I'm a really big fan of that. It feels really good, but also allows for really high grip, so you don't have to worry about slide bite or anything like that. And it also makes controlling the firearm a lot easier in my opinion. The slide release on this gun is just a standard slide release and it works fine. I've had no issues with it. It is not ambidextrous, which I do wish it was, being a left-handed shooter. But for $300, you can't get it all, obviously. The mag release also works fine. It's nothing special. They kind of beveled it out there. I found it a little weird to use, but that also just may be because I'm not used to it. So that could also be a big factor in it. Back to the slide release real quick. It is pretty flat to the gun, which I kind of like, because you can't, you know, some people have issues with their thumb right in there and causing false slide locks, so you will not have an issue with that. But it works really well, so it just releases super easy, so it's not an issue at all for me. The slide on these daggers come in all different forms, but this particular model, we got the Cerakoted OD Green. You can get them in multiple colors and configurations. This model is not optic cut, however they do make optic cut models, so if you're somebody that likes an optic, they can definitely get you taken care of there as well. The slide serrations on this gun are actually really nice, and they work as they should. I actually prefer the slide serrations on the Dagger over the Glock 19. The Glocks just, their slide serrations have never been great. You know, they've tried 5 times to make theirs better, and this is the Dagger's first attempt, and they've already beat Glocks in my opinion on that aspect. The Dagger comes with a single slot rail for use with any lights or lasers if you so choose to add one. The trigger on this Dagger, it's a different configuration than a Glock trigger. The Glock trigger has a center safety in it, whereas the Dagger has a hinge type safety at the bottom. So that's typically what you see on a Smith & Wesson, is the bottom hinge trigger. The feel of the trigger though, as far as trigger pull and everything like that, feels like a Glock. It's got the same type of take up, and then a wall, and then a decent break. The reset is fairly quick. I mean, it's a fairly decent trigger. It's, you know, Glock triggers aren't any better, but that's not saying a lot, because Glock has one of the worst triggers on the market, but it is very usable, and I don't think it's any worse than a Glock trigger for sure. The way I kind of look at this trigger is, if a Glock trigger and a Smith & Wesson trigger had a baby, this is what you would get. It's got the same feel of the Glock, but it's got the look and hinge safety of a Smith & Wesson. The takedown, we won't do it because you've seen it 100 times on the Glocks, but the takedown is just a typical Glock takedown. The internals of this gun, to me, look the same as a Glock, which in my opinion is a great thing. Glock's reliability of a tried and true system, you can't argue with that. So if it's set up the same, that's a good thing in my opinion. We have over 500 rounds through this Dagger up to this point, and it has performed flawlessly, which if you're going to try to clone one of the most reliable guns in the world, then you should expect that for sure. You know, whether you like Glocks or not, you cannot argue with their reliability and how they perform. Like I said earlier though, we've mainly ran all these rounds through Glock factory mags. I put one mag through this P mag that came with it, and it did perform, had no issues, no failures, no nothing like that. But I trust the Glock mags a lot more than what the P mags are. We ran everything from factory reman 115 grain ammo to 124 grain Federal. I think we had, I forgot what the other one, I know we shot some critical defense through it, but we shot just 5 or 6 different types of ammo through it, and it just ran through them all without a hiccup at all. So reliability for this Dagger, I definitely say, from what I have seen and how it's shot, I would definitely not be worried about that at all. And I'd put it up with the Glock's reliability. We purposely kind of waited You know, this dagger's been out for a year and a half now. We purposely waited to get the dagger and do the review on it because we just wanted to see if they had any kinks to work out. You know, a lot of these guns come out and within a month or two they change something or find an issue, and to my knowledge they haven't, and I've seen a lot of good things about them, and that's been my experience as well. I actually plan on keeping this gun. I'm a Glock guy. I like Glocks, but the feel of this gun, I just like shooting better than my Glocks just because it feels better in my hand. The price point on these daggers run from $299 up to $450 to $500 depending on the options and setup you get. You can get a loaded out dagger with slide cuts, optic ready, threaded barrel for around the $450 mark. This base dagger was $299 and we purchased it personally. We have no affiliation or anything from Palmetto State so that we could give you an honest review and opinion. Palmetto State has gotten big enough that they're going to be around for a long time. They're not going anywhere, so I'd not worry about the future service parts or anything like that. I believe you'll get the same service and a product back as well as you would with a Glock. Overall, for $300, I strongly believe this PSA Dagger is a great budget alternative to a Glock 19. There are only a few things I believe you'd gain by going to the Glock 19. The first thing is the Glock 19s come with 3 magazines, whereas the daggers only come with 1. However, Palmetto State is always running specials, so you may be able to catch a dagger that comes with 10 mags or something like that, so that even may not be a concern depending on when you can catch it. Lastly is the replaceable back straps of a Glock 19. You do not get that on a dagger. However, honestly, for me, I don't use the back straps anyways on a Glock, so it makes no difference to me, and I don't see that as a hindrance. But some people with larger hands, they may. So just want to throw that out there. If you're on a budget and you just want to get more bang for your buck, I would definitely suggest giving the Palmetto State Dagger a chance. I do not think you'd be disappointed. Until next time, keep practicing and always be prepared.